Are you done? Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Nikki, and today's video is a tough one for me to make personally, and you might not find it helpful. It might not have anything to do with your situation, and that's totally fine. I just am really hoping that I can help even one other person with this situation and just sharing my honest story and my experience. So I'm not a licensed therapist to be talking about any of this, and some things I'm mentioning could be triggering to you. I'm going to be talking about binge eating disorder, so I just want to give that heads up in case this is something that's difficult for you to listen to or if it's triggering for you. But I'm just going to be talking about my experience, and I truly just hope that I can help one other person with this, because I know that hearing other people in the similar situation can be helpful. And yeah, so this video is difficult for me to make because this is something that I haven't talked about to anybody that I know. If I'm being honest, I did not tell Adam in detail what a binge eating episode used to be for me until last week. I have been watching a lot of videos and doing a lot of reading about it, and I don't know, I just think it's really important that I talk about this because it could help someone else. And doing more research about binge eating disorder, it really isn't talked about enough, and I figured for Mental Health Awareness Month, this would be a perfect video to get done. I wanted to do it at the beginning of the month, and I've been pushing it off for weeks because, like I said, this is something difficult for me to talk about because of the shame and embarrassment that I have associated with it. But I have done a lot of work on myself, and I've done a lot of research, and I just really hope that sharing my experience can help. And it's really hard for me to talk about this as well, because not because of the people that I don't know personally watching my video. Those are the people that it's easy to talk to you guys and just tell you about my experiences and really hope that it helps. I'm hoping that you guys are getting help from these videos, but it's harder for me knowing that people I know are watching these and maybe thinking, like, because they didn't know that I was going through this, that it either maybe isn't real or they feel bad not knowing that I went through this. I don't know. It's hard for me to talk about knowing that people I know are going to be watching it. So if I seem uncomfortable, that is why this is something awkward for me to talk about, but it's something that I've been just more and more talking to Adam and Trevor, and it's just helped me so much to be more open about it, and it's lifted a lot of the shame and embarrassment off of my shoulders. So I really hope that even if you watch this video and realize that you have something similar, you seek professional help, or even if you want to reach out to me, I'm always here to talk. Like I said, I can't give actual professional advice about this. I can only speak on my experiences, but if it helps to talk to someone else who's been through it, by all means, please reach out to me, because honestly, I don't want to hear that anyone else is going through what I've been through, but it helps me to know that I'm not the only one too. Just like it helps you guys to watch this and hear that you're not the only one, it helps me to hear about your guys' experiences as well. It really does. I'm still healing from this, and it's something that I know I'll be dealing with my entire life, but it helps to know that other people are going through this and that we're not alone in this. So sorry for the long intro. I hope that I get across everything that I want to in this video, and I'm just going to be speaking on my experience. So before I go into detail about my personal experience, I just want to talk about what binge eating disorder is, the difference between like emotional eating and binge eating. It is very common for people to eat when they're emotional or when they're feeling stressed, but a lot of times that might just be like randomly one time in a month that you had a stressful event and you find yourself binging or emotional eating, and that doesn't classify as binge eating disorder. So what binge eating disorder is diagnosed by recurrent episodes of binge eating. So binge eating is eating in a certain amount of time, so usually like it's like a 2-hour period, they say, an amount of food that is more than the normal person would eat in that 2-hour amount of time. So it's just eating a large amount of food in a small amount of time, more than what a normal person would do, pretty much. Another thing that is important to recognize is that you lose your feeling of control when this is happening. So you feel like you cannot stop eating or control how much you are eating in that time. So this information is just coming directly off the nationaleatingdisorders.org. So there are certain characteristics of a binge eating episode, and usually 3 or more are present when you have binge eating disorders. So those include eating until you're uncomfortably full, eating much faster than normal, eating large amounts of food, even when you're not feeling feeling hungry. It also includes eating alone because you're ashamed or embarrassed. And then a lot of times after you finish eating, it includes feeling disgusted or depressed or guilty for the amount of food you just consumed. Reading those is really hard for me because I have experienced those things. And I guess when I've been learning more and more about binge eating disorder, I've realized that this is what I've struggled with. And it's kind of interesting to look at how it's evolved throughout my life. So I kind of want to start with around middle school, high school. I think this was probably the most painful time for me with binge eating. And that is because this is when I did all of my eating and hiding. I wasn't afraid to eat in front of people. I would still eat a good amount, but also I was eating in hiding as well. So in high school especially, I found that I did not eat breakfast, and for lunch I would have like an orange or pretzel sticks. So part of this was because I just didn't give myself time to pack a healthy lunch, but also because I was trying to lose weight and I thought that if I just starved myself all day like that, it would help me. But that led to me, first of all, my dinners were always huge portions because I was so hungry after not eating all day. So my dinners were huge portions, and then this also led to me binge eating at night. So it's hard to talk about this, but I'm just gonna tell what a typical episode would be like. And like I said, this is something that I just recently told Adam about. I haven't really told anyone else about this, so it's difficult to talk about. But in middle school and in high school, what I would do is I would wait till everyone in my house was sleeping, and I would go downstairs and I would just eat for a solid hour. A lot of times, I had two things that I made the most, and that was pasta and instant potatoes. And so I would make like a half box of pasta, put a ton of butter, cheese, and I would just mix it up and then inhale this bowl of pasta out of the pot. I wouldn't even put it in a bowl. I would just eat out of the pot. Same thing with the instant potatoes. I would put the water, the butter in, and then throw the potatoes. I would throw in a ton of sour cream, a ton of cheese, mix it up, and then just eat the entire thing in 10 minutes. I was eating until I was in physical pain. It hurt, and I didn't know what I was doing. I looked forward to it. I was like excited that I knew everyone was in bed and I can go downstairs and quietly sneak into the fridge, quietly sneak using the stove. Like, I was trying to be as sneaky as I could about it because I was so humiliated that I was doing it, but I was also like, just couldn't control it. I didn't even know what I was really doing. And so I would make this large amount of food, and that wasn't even it. Those were just like the main things I would eat. And then after, it would just continue with chips, graham crackers, usually we didn't have a lot of like cookies or desserts and stuff, so it was more just like snacky things that I would just eat. Tortillas, slices of cheese, like anything that I could eat. I didn't even want to eat this food. It wasn't even good half the time. I just couldn't control it, and I just felt so horrible. And I would eat it so quickly, so much, and then I would go in the bathroom and I would just cry, and I would sit at the toilet and I wouldn't be able to throw up because part of me wanted to, but part of me, for some reason, I thought it was only an eating disorder if I threw up the food. I thought it was binging and purging. I didn't know that this was actually even something I was like struggling with. I thought I was just eating too much and I couldn't control it, and then I was mad at myself. And so I thought if I threw up, then I had an eating disorder, kind of. And I know that doesn't make sense, and it was just how my head was working at the time. And so it was really hard for me. It was extremely painful. I had so much hate for myself, so much disgust and shame, and that would usually last for a while in the bathroom, and then I would just kind of brush it off and think, okay, tomorrow I'm just going to restrict again, and then it was just a cycle, and I would do the same thing. And I wasn't having these huge binges every single day, but it was occurring multiple times a week and multiple times a month, and so it was just a problem. But I didn't do anything to get help for it. I continued to do it, and I continued to eat in hiding. And it's really hard to think about that now because I didn't know what was going on. And honestly, these episodes, like this specifically, I haven't really thought about them much until more recently, learning more about binge eating disorder and being able to talk openly with like Adam and Trevor about it. It's really, really helped me, and to bring some of the past out and kind of deal with what I was going through. So going off of that, I just want to quickly mention that another thing I did when I was struggling was I hid food all the time. I would have a backpack and I would put slices of cheese and granola bars, and like I would just stuff food in it and bring it up to my room so that I could eat in hiding, not have my family know. And this was like just such a humiliating feeling because I knew like what I was doing wasn't okay, and I don't know, I just had so much shame about it, and it just like, it's hard to think about because the place I was in when I was doing these things, like I just didn't have control. I hated myself for doing it, but I just kept doing it and I couldn't stop. And I was just so stressed, and there's a lot of things that I was dealing with that I'm not going to really get into in this video. I have another video talking about my mental health and weight loss, and that one gets a little bit more in detail about it, but today I just want to focus mainly on the binge eating disorder. Like I said, that was just something, again, that I was so embarrassed about, and so I would hide food, and there would be wrappers all in my room hidden, and it was such a shameful thing for me. It has helped me now to kind of bring it back up and talk about it and talk through it and why I did that. Going along that though, I want to talk about how it also started to evolve. So it changed a little bit when I went to college. I still would do the same things in my room. It was actually easier for me, so I didn't really feel like I had to wait till night to eat. Like I could just go in my room and my roommates wouldn't know that I was eating the way I was. And the other thing that really helped was that I was a college athlete, and so I was working out an insane amount every day, and that kind of helped to cover up the fact that I was eating so much food that I should have been gaining more weight, but because of how active I was, it kind of didn't catch up to me the way that it would have. I have just always used food to cope with my emotions and my stress. I am a perfectionist, and I really put a lot of pressure on myself when it comes to doing things. I want to do them the right way, and because of that, I just put a lot of stress on myself. I really do, unnecessary stress, and I've done that my whole life. And so that's something that I've had to learn how to cope with and deal with so that I'm not using food to cope with it. And that's part of what has helped me heal from this. So in those times, it was mostly just like my stress, and I had a really hard time being away from home when I was at college, and so food was my comfort during that time. I still would have episodes where I would eat a ton in my room and then cry in the bathroom because I wanted to throw it up and I couldn't. And that continued throughout college. And then after college, that's when Adam and I got our house. And so again, Adam didn't know this was going on throughout college, throughout high school. He had no idea. But then when we moved in together, food was something we were always comfortable about with each other. We knew we both liked to eat a lot. And so I think that then my binging kind of switched because I had freedom. I had a house to myself. I mean, Adam was home a lot of the time, but like, I don't know. I just didn't feel shame eating in front of him. And so I think my binge eating episodes kind of transitioned into our dinners. I think that after not eating all day and coming home, we would be together and it would still be like I was binging because I would eat these insane portions and these insane meals in like 10 minutes. Like we would eat them so quickly. And it was like we were doing it together, but I didn't have the episode where I'd run to the bathroom and be crying because I felt this shame and guilt. I wasn't doing it in hiding. I don't know if it was like a comfort of us doing it together, and then we both would just kind of sit there and feel blah. And I had those same feelings of shame and guilt in my head, but it didn't like become as much of an emotional me like on the floor crying about it. It was more just sitting there hating myself and thinking these thoughts in my head, like, how did I just do that to myself? I'm in physical pain. I didn't even want to eat that much, but I just forced it down. And it's so, you don't really know until you experience like how out of control you feel when this is happening, because like you don't want to be doing it and it's just happening. I think that's how it kind of went from middle school, high school, doing it in hiding, to kind of being comfortable with Adam and just being able to do it in the open. So I think that what really helped me was when we decided that we were going to start WW and start this weight loss journey, we started with our mindset, and we started with realizing why we were eating the amount we were eating and why we were doing this, and realizing that it came from stress and wanting comfort in the food we were eating was huge. And I think that kind of helped me with realizing like why I was doing this binging. And so I hope that kind of helps, just talking about my experience with these episodes and what they were like. I just want to talk about some things that I've done to really help me deal with these issues. I still do get urges to have binge eating episodes, but I've done a few things to really work on myself and deal with these issues. So recently, like I said, I've been doing a ton of research. I've just been watching videos and reading articles about other people's experiences with binge eating disorder and what treatment is available. And a lot of it is therapy, and there is medication you can take, but those are different ways that may help you. I just personally didn't want to take that route. With me, it worked out well that I was making these changes for my weight loss journey in general. That helped me a ton to change my mindset, and I think that's really helped with my binge eating. But one thing that is the biggest thing actually is I don't restrict anything. And I realized that with binging, I was eating the things that I wanted to eat, but like in mass amounts. And when I restrict myself from pasta and cheese, I just crave it more. And then when I get it, I inhale it, and that's not good. good, and I'm just gonna want it until I have it if I'm restricting it. So working it into my diet now has been huge, and I do that in ways of finding healthy alternatives that can kind of substitute for those different foods that maybe like trigger foods or foods that I would try to restrict, or I just have them in better portion sizes, or I just have them every once in a while because I need to, because otherwise I'm just gonna want them more. And I think that I find that if I restrict something, I'm thinking about it then until I have it. And so I just need to have it. But a lot of times what I'll do too is say I'm craving something and it's making me feel like I'm going to binge because I just can't stop when I start eating it. What I do is I will eat an apple first and drink some water and kind of get a little bit full. And then I still allow myself to have the thing that I would maybe restrict, because then I don't feel restricted, but I'm also pretty full. And I find that I'm able to just portion out the size serving that I want, eat that, and then I'm good. And I got what I wanted and I didn't overdo it. And so that's more so not specific with like binge eating episodes, because a lot of times those are more like out of control, but just for me specifically, not restricting has been huge and has made such a difference with my eating habits. Another thing that's really helped, and like I said, this is from my personal experience, I don't know if this will work for you, but I have been so used to eating huge portion sizes that I know if I started restricting my meals to like a small portion of meat, a small portion of potato, and a small veggie, like that will not keep me satisfied. So I still try to find ways to eat in volume, because that's what I would do when I would binge. I would eat a huge volume of food, and I don't feel as restricted when I still eat large volumes of food. So I just eat more veggies. I fill my food. Like I will have my bowls and I still have my carbs with my rice, my meat, my cheese, my dip, but I will load it with veggies. And that just makes it so much bigger of a meal. And then I feel like I'm eating a lot. And I do also focus on eating slower now, but I just don't feel like I'm restricting. And then it really takes away any urges of binging, because I'm getting a lot of food and I am really full. And so focusing on having like very nourishing meals that are high volume helped me and still helps me so much. And it also helps Adam, because both of us have just loved to eat a lot of food at once. Another thing that really has helped me is I eat breakfast now, and I make sure to eat breakfast, and that makes me not feel like I'm starving myself all day so that I'm binging at night. It really does keep me full throughout the day, and then I can eat smaller portions at night and still feel satisfied. So that's just another little thing that has helped me. Another thing is just being able to openly talk about this. And like I said, it is something that I've been humiliated about my entire life, and my friends don't know about it, my family doesn't know about it. And so being able to finally see what other people are going through, that they're going through this, being able to talk to Adam and my friend Trevor about it, like it has been a weight off my shoulder, and it's hard. Like when we talk about it, I'm not talking about it, I'm bawling my eyes out and telling them about my experience, and they're just there to listen. And honestly, that is enough to help me through it. And so, like I said, if this is something you are going through, or you can relate to the things I'm talking about, professional help might be what is best for you. And so I highly recommend seeking professional help. But also, if you have a friend or a family member, or like I said, me, if you want to talk to me, like, and you are able to be open about your experiences and just kind of even just cry to them, like it helps to kind of get it off your shoulder and have them know that this is what you're going through, and it's nothing to be shameful for. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's nothing to feel shame about. There are so many reasons behind why you may be doing this binge eating, and some things are in your control, but some things are out of your control, and they just need to be worked on. You need to find the root of the problem. You need to find the stress, the anxiety, or the depression that is causing this binge eating disorder, and you need to work on the root of the problem. And that's what I've been doing this past year. And the amount of stress that I've taken out of my life has been life-changing, and it has allowed me to deal with this binge eating disorder and deal with my eating habits and make positive changes in my life that have helped me live a healthier lifestyle. And so seriously, reducing the stress in your life is huge, or reducing the anxiety. And if that takes getting professional help, then it does. Or if it takes being open to someone about it, it does. And I know it's not easy, but there are people that are there for you, and you are not alone in this. I promise you're not alone in this. And that's something I wish I would have known when I was crying on my bathroom floor, feeling so disgusted with myself because of what I just did. And yeah, I'm hoping that I can use my experience to help someone else now, and to maybe get out of a situation that is painful like this, because it's not easy and you do need support to get through it. And so finding support is huge. Another thing, I just focused on journaling and just some mindfulness meditation and just working on my overall mental health has been huge and has really translated to the kitchen and to my food choices, and it's really helped me. So again, this was a tough one for me to film, and I feel like I was probably all over the place. I just really wanted to share my experience and talk about kind of what goes along with binge eating disorder, and hopefully help one other person who's going through it or needs help, or just to hear that they're not alone, because you're not alone. So like I said, this is all just my personal experience. I cannot be giving professional advice about this, but this is just what I've done for myself and how I've improved my lifestyle because of it. I'm finding that being able to talk about this has actually helped me more than suppressing the feelings and experiences that I have had. So I'm just really hoping I can help someone else out with this. I hope that you found this video helpful, and yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.